Hey everyone, it's Miss Surrett here. So these past couple of weeks you've been learning about Earth processes like plate tectonics and weathering. Now let's focus on ecosystems and the energy relationships that they are dependent on. So plants and animals have important components for structure and function, and whenever we organize these, we call these our levels of organization. Now, this is organized by complexity. So starting with atoms, each component gets more complex as you go. So as you go down the chart, these become more complex. So for example, organs are more complex than tissue, and tissue is more complex than cells. Now, the more complex it is, the more energy it requires. So a community would need more energy than a population, and an element would need more energy than an atom. This is why bigger organisms, such as elephants, require more energy than smaller ones like mice. Now, where do organisms get all of this energy? Well, all living things must get energy from food. Plants use photosynthesis to convert radiant energy into chemical energy, and animals get energy from what food they eat. Now, living things in an ecosystem can be classified by how they obtain energy. So we have producers, consumers, and decomposers. Now, producers can also be called autotrophs, and these are organisms that get energy by converting radiant energy from the sun into food. So these are your plants. Consumers or heterotrophs, they have to get their energy by eating plants or animals. And we've got three different types: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores just eat plants, carnivores eat animals, omnivores eat both. So humans are an example of omnivores. Decomposers are organisms that get energy from breaking down dead plant and animal matter, and in this process, they're actually returning nutrients to the soil. This flow of energy through an ecosystem can be shown in different ways. The first could be a food chain. This is just a basic diagram that shows the flow of energy from the sun to a producer and then along to some consumers, and there's usually a decomposer at the end. Now, keep in mind the arrows that you see in these pictures, this is representing the flow of energy. It's not just the food that each thing eats, it's the flow of energy. Now, we could also have a food web. A food web is a complex diagram, and it shows interacting food chains in an ecosystem. So a food chain is showing one pathway, while a food web is showing many different pathways. The flow of energy in an ecosystem can also be illustrated with an energy pyramid. And this is a complex diagram, and it shows the amount of energy available at each trophic level. Now, each level of the pyramid that you see, these are your trophic levels. So as you go up the pyramid, the energy is actually going to decrease because energy is lost as heat. So let's say the rabbit is eating the grass. The grass is going to have the most energy because it's the producer. Well, whenever the rabbit eats the grass, a lot of that energy is being lost as heat. So the rabbit is getting less energy than the plant originally had. So keep in mind that as you go up that pyramid, the energy is decreasing. And here are the definitions for those three diagrams that illustrate the flow of energy. Go ahead and pause this and write these down in your journal. So there are different relationships that we see in ecosystems. The first one we kind of just touched on. We've got the producer-consumer relationship. So consumers, they depend on producers for energy. So consumers can't get their energy from the sun, so they have to eat things. So like in this picture, the koala bear has to eat the leaves to get energy, and the leaves can actually absorb energy from the sun, and they can produce their own food and get their own energy. So consumers definitely depend on the producers for their energy. Now we've got predator-prey relationships as well, and predators depend on the prey for energy, and predators must use their energy to catch the prey. That's their food. So predators will go after prey that they know they can easily catch so that they use as little of their energy as possible. Now, a parasite host, the parasite depends on the host for energy. For example, a flea will bite a dog and draw blood, or a mosquito will bite a human and draw blood to get energy. And here are the other definitions. Go ahead, pause this, copy this down, and as soon as you're done, that's a wrap.